So welcome. This is one of those quarterly reviews. I do one of these every quarter, every 3 months roughly, just as a general state of how things are. When I started doing YouTube, there was very little information available on how you should expect a channel to grow. And I just started doing these on a quarterly basis just to give an idea for other YouTubers, really, to see how my channel grows over those periods, and also as a general reference for me as well. We're a little bit late on this one. The quarter ended on February the 11th. And in the previous 3 months, it's going great. Short answer. It's going really well. This quarter's been particularly good. We had 800,000 discrete views on the channel. That's up from 450,000 in the previous quarter, which is pretty special. 4.5 million minutes watched. That's up from 2.7 million in the previous quarter. 4.5 million minutes is 8 years, 158 days worth of my video watched in the last 90 days. 50,000 minutes a day. That's 35 days worth every day. Pretty amazing. We gained 4,700 subscribers. Welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you're an old hand. That's up from 2,600 in the previous quarter, and we hit 30,000 subscribers this last quarter, just before the end of the year. That was pretty fantastic. I was delighted with that. If you see the previous quarterly review, you'll know that I didn't really expect to make that, but we did, and that's just fantastic. A real milestone there. I've gone into the analytics a little bit more on this one. It's really interesting. The split between people watching on a computer, people watching on a mobile phone, and people watching on a tablet is really, really even. Slightly more on a computer, about 38%, slightly less on a mobile, about 35%, and a tablet only slightly behind those again at about 27%. I suspect that reflects on the general demographic of my channel, which does skew towards a slightly older audience, although not exclusively. It's a surprisingly even spread across all age groups, from the 20s through to the 60 pluses. So fascinating. Videos with the most views were really interesting in the quarter. I have a few evergreens, I call them, videos that play well every quarter, rain or shine, and they are no exceptions on this quarter. Shaker style panel doors is one, cheap bandsaw was another, Festool cheap tool track saw part 1 is another, and the cheap bandsaws again was a 4th. Those are the top 4 playing videos. That's an amalgamation of watch time and number of views, because obviously some videos are shorter than others, so if I get more views but less watch time. 5 and 6 were the gifts for makers, which always plays well in this quarter. Always a popular video. Then 10 years of domino. That was a surprise. That was a series that I almost didn't bother doing, to be honest, because I didn't think there was much more to say about dominoes. So shows what I know. Time, Tools and Money was next. Tracksaw Workshop Part 1. Good to see that up there. Biggest Mistake Part 1. Biggest Mistake was a short series I did about a colossal, calamitous mistake from about 18 months ago, and I put that out as a short 5-part series, 5-minute videos daily between Christmas and New Year, just to tide you over. That went down very well. And Cheap versus Cheapest was the bringing up the rear at top, number 10. That was at the end of the Tracksaw Workshop series. I did the Aldi Work Zone tracksaw and put it up against my little Titan tracksaw. So very, very good viewing figures for all of those. In fact, the whole quarter's been a really solid performer. Where are we? Time, Tools and Money, Wrong Side Cuts, Gift for Makers, all 10, 12, 13, 14,000 views. Biggest Mistake got 50,000 views for that series over 5 days. 10 Years of Domino, again, a surprise hit, over 30,000 views. The installation series I thought would just be a kind of strictly for guys in the business, guys in the trade, got 25,000 views. Tracksaw Workshop has done really well. That was a long time coming. That got 60,000 views, and on and on. I had a couple of mini viral videos right towards the end of the quarter. One was the bendy baseboard video, and one was the toxic MDF story. Now, with regard to content on the channel, A few people have said, oh, you're not doing much making, you used to do loads of making. As I said in video number 249, no video sometimes, you know, you get to see the things that I can show you. Some people don't want their stuff shown. A lot of people have said no to doing any of the install videos, and I've said no to a few as well, because right up till Christmas, up to, you know, the very start of this quarter, I was working flat out, absolutely flat out, and there just wasn't time to shoot any video. You get to see what I can show you. I don't stop making stuff, I just stop sharing it because I just can't. The stuff I make pays for all this. If we get to the point where all this pays enough that I can stop making stuff, great, I'll do more of this. But, you know, I've got to make a living, and this isn't paying for it at the moment. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on at the moment as well. Nobody's mentioned it, so possibly it's a totally pointless exercise, but I started shooting in 4K for the last couple of videos, and I'm going to continue with that for a little while because I want to experiment with it. And if you've seen the channel or these quarterly reviews before, you'll know that it's all a bit of an experiment, really. I want to see what the overhead is like in making these videos in 4K. There are some benefits to having a 4K file, even if you're only watching in HD. You get better data rates, for example. But whether that's worthwhile or not, I'll see. I'll carry on with the 4K experiment for a little while and see if it's worthwhile. One of the things that prompted this is I know a guy who was on YouTube way back, and he took a break for a while and he's just come back on now. On all of his original videos from 5 or 8 years ago, they're shot in sort of 4:3 standard def, and they're unwatchable. I literally can't watch them anymore. They weren't, some of the early ones weren't that great to start with, to be fair. But I just can't watch standard def anymore. So I'm thinking about a little bit of future-proofing on my part. You know, part of what you do on YouTube is to leave a legacy of work behind. Some are going to be better than others, obviously, but I want them to be watchable. So it's an element of future-proofing. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe there'll be a day that comes when regular HD content is unwatchable, and people will look at 4K and say, oh, I suppose I could just about watch that now. Or maybe there won't be. I don't know. But I'll continue with the 4K experiment for the next few videos at least. And the other thing that I've been playing with recently is a lot of my short-form videos, the stuff that goes on Instagram, has all been edited on an iPad. There's a new, or relatively new app called LumaFusion for editing video on an iPad, and it's very similar to Final Cut in a lot of ways. So it's quite an easy transition from Final Cut to LumaFusion. It's very intuitive, very easy to use, and blazingly fast. I don't actually have an iPad Pro. I've only got a 2018 spec regular iPad, and even on that, it's rendering HD 1080p video in at about 80% of real time, which is fast. So very interesting. I'll have a bit more of a play with that, and maybe I'll experiment doing some of the slightly longer video stuff on the iPad as well. I won't tell you about it. You'll have to spot which ones are which. And the other thing I'm thinking about doing, looking forwards into the future, is the Tuesday videos were always intended as 2-minute Tuesday tips, and they've gotten longer as time's gone on, partly because I feel I've got more to say, but sometimes people are moaning about the shortness of them, and you know, we've had a lot of new people join the channel, and welcome everybody. Perhaps they don't know that Tuesday videos are meant to be 2-minute Tuesday tips. But one of the things I started doing last year and then stopped again just because of pressures of work was a Wednesday workshop where I talk about things that aren't necessarily related to, you know, the workshop woodworking type things, but I've still got something to say about them. So what I might do is resurrect the Wednesday workshops, but in place of the Tuesday tip type videos. I don't know. This is, you know, YouTube is all an experiment as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to continue to experiment with the various features and the various ways of producing content for it. And we'll see where that takes us. But that's it for this quarterly review so far. Things are going fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the party. Thank you very much indeed if you support me through Patreon. If you want to contact me, then leave messages in the comments below is an easy way to do it. Then the answer is for everybody. But if you prefer to contact me privately, then you go to the 10minuteworkshop.com companion website, hit up the contact button, and then there'll be a list of ways of contacting me there through email, through Twitter, or through Instagram. Give me a follow on Instagram as well. I'm doing more and more on Instagram. I used to be a professional photographer, so I take a decent snap, and I do enjoy the short form videos that I'm putting on there. Not just because they're done in a fun new program on an iPad, but because I really enjoy the tightness. You can only put 1 minute videos up there, so I enjoy that sort of restriction. But that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.